What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Scoop, and today I'm going to be bringing you my top 5 college quarterback prospects. This is a topic that's very interesting for a lot of people, me included. I honestly have no idea what order they're going to be drafted in. It's very debated upon, and I'm going to give my input here. Without further ado, let's get into it. At my QB 5, I'm going to start there. I've got Mac Jones. He won the college football championship with great receivers, and people used that against him, that he had great receivers. But I just don't think that is a bad trait for him because he's going to be playing with NFL receivers wherever he goes. So I think that's a good thing. He's able to throw to these receivers. It's not as impressive maybe, but it's not something that knocks him down. He won the college football championship. He's a good decision maker. He is scheme dependent, though. He only really fits into a West Coast offense for what we've seen. He only played 1.5 years. So if you get him into a West Coast offense, I'm sure he could be a good quarterback. But for me, he's a QB2 or a game manager at best. I don't think I'm putting him in my team to win games. I'm putting him in my teams to be safe. So I'm going to give him QB2 in the NFL draft grade. He is my 5 overall. At 4 ranked in this QB class, I'm going to go with Trey Lance. And I hate to do this because he reminds me so much of Josh Allen. But, I mean, he's so good. He's literally Josh Allen 2.0. His arm strength is top of the top class. He has an accurate deep ball. He locks onto the first read, which is the same as Josh Allen did in his first year. He reads very, very quickly. He doesn't look both ways. He just throws it to the first guy he finds to. He needs to be able to throw into tight windows better. And it's the same thing with Josh Allen. He felt pressure going into tight windows because he didn't know if his wide receivers were going to be able to catch the balls. But he needs to mature in that way, that to throw it to NFL caliber receivers that are going to catch the ball. My overall rating for him, I gave Mac Jones a QB2. I can't really decide on Trey Lance because Josh Allen, as great as he is, he's a great prospect. He would never be the way he is without the Bills OC or Sean McDermott. He wouldn't be the same as he is without the Bills. So I'm going to just wait off on giving him my QB1, my All-Pro, or whatever rating I'm going to give him, just because I can't be sure. It's dependent on what team drafts him. And that is that way for a lot of QBs, but I'm going to give them ratings anyway. But I really just can't tell you for Trey Lance. My QB3, and I get a lot of stick about this with my group and probably you guys as well. My QB3 is Zach Wilson. Now, Zach Wilson's a great prospect. He can hurt defenses through the air and on the ground. He's accurate. His passes are very, very accurate. And with BYU, the guys caught the ball all the time, and you don't see that often with college teams that aren't so good. All right, that's a bit of an overstatement, but yeah, his passes were accurate enough for his teams to do well. He's a competitor. You see it out of him. He has fight, and I like that out of a quarterback. It's a great trait to have because they don't end up as busts unless they get injured. Having fight out of your quarterback is a great characteristic. And for me, he needs experience to be my QB2. I can't put him as my QB2 without his experience level being at least 2 years. He played 1 or 2 years at BYU, but that's not going to translate to the NFL. And I know BYU don't have the greatest players, so technically he can do well with better players, but he's never played at a level anywhere near the level of the NFL. So I really just can't give him a QB2 rating. For me, he's a potential Pro Bowler, and I see his talent. I had Trey Lance over him at one point, but I've changed my opinion on that. He's a potential Pro Bowler, but I also can see him being a potential stop block for teams to just pass him around, get a few wins out of him, pass him around to a new team. But I want the best for this guy, but I don't know how that's going to happen. My QB2, Justin Fields, and his draft stock has gone down from 2 to 9 for really no reason. So I'm going to just address the first thing here. He isn't Dwayne Haskins. Don't judge him like it. They both are from Ohio State. They both got to championship games and lost, but they're not the same quarterback. So you can't judge Justin Fields off to Dwayne Haskins' success in the NFL. Now that that's out of the way, he has all the skills needed to succeed in the NFL. His game versus Clemson speaks for itself, by the way. That's the top opponent he's going to go against in his college career, and he nailed them. He reminds me a little of Deshaun Watson in the way he plays. He's a scrambler. He can do it, but he doesn't choose to do it all the time. And when he does do it, it's dangerous. So now I've talked a lot about how good he is. He suffers under pressure. He does suffer under pressure. When he's blitzed, he needs to make reads quicker. He doesn't need to make a play every time he gets it, but he tries to. And that's another negative that we saw with Mahomes in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He tried to throw a touchdown every play, and it looked incredible. But you see him scrambling for negative 30 yards every play, and you just think to yourself, why doesn't he just throw it to the first read? And it doesn't work like that, obviously, but you have to try to get the ball off earlier, and that's something that's going to hurt Justin Fields as he goes on in the NFL. My QB1, Trevor Lawrence, and I could just go and tell you he's the consensus one, yada, yada, yada. His Clemson record speaks for itself. He's won consecutive playoff tournaments, but those are QB wins, and apparently you guys don't count that as stats. I disagree with that. I think QB wins are an important stat, but I'm actually going to move on to the things that he can do well. His rare deep ball ability. We see deep ball ability out of Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Josh Allen and Mahomes. And I'm not going to go and say that Trevor Lawrence's deep ball is better than Mahomes or Josh Allen's because they're seasoned in the NFL. But coming out of college, Trevor Lawrence is the most accurate deep ball I have seen coming in out of any of these quarterbacks. And I saw Justin Herbert last year. I saw Mahomes coming into the league. I saw Allen. I saw Darnold. And I see the deep ball from Trevor Lawrence, and I see endless possibilities for DJ Chark streaking down, Marvin Jones streaking down. So that's a real big asset for him to have. He's athletic. He's mobile. These are things that you don't generally think about Trevor Lawrence, but they are important for him. So they're things that he can do that some quarterbacks that are taken 1 overall, like Burrow, they have that, but they're not the main weapon in the arsenal, so that's dangerous. He's experienced under pressure, and he's been playing against NFL caliber players. So you take the Jaguars into a game that could potentially put them in the playoffs, and you have a quarterback who's ice cold, who can win them games. And I'm not saying that's going to happen this year, but he's ice cold. He could do it. He will do it when he needs to. He leads the receiver very well, and this is something that's going to really help him when he's throwing to James Robinson and when he's throwing to Marvin Jones, because they like to go forward with a read. And we saw Stafford do it with Jones all the time. We saw Minshew and Luton and Glennon, whoever they played at quarterback, throw the ball with a lead to James Robinson. It's a good thing to have in this team because we think he's going to go to the Jaguars. The only thing that I've got against Trevor Lawrence is his injuries, and I think he'll get over that quickly. I think he's a game-changing prospect if his cards are played right. And I'm not going to just go around saying MVP because that's ridiculous, but he should change the franchise to the dumpster fire that it is to one of the most promising teams in the NFL. So I'm going to just have to give an honorable mention here to Kyle Trask and to Kellen Mond. We love them over here. Kyle Trask and Kellen Mond, if you guys are watching, if you guys see this, you are just not on the same level as these guys. And you might be in the NFL. You might want to just prove us wrong. But I can't put you on this list. Overall grades, I'm going to give Trevor Lawrence, this is a scale out of 10. He's a 10 out of 10 draft. He's a steal. You get him there, win some games, change your franchise around. Justin Fields, I'm going to give him an 8 because there is room for error, but there's also room for him to be an all-pro quarterback. Zach Wilson, also going to give an 8. I had him as a 6 because I really just didn't understand the hype, but watching his pro day, looking a little more into it, has shown me that he is a top quarterback in this class. Trey Lance, I'm going to give a 7. He's too similar to Josh Allen for me to give anything lower, but he seems very scheme dependent, and he's a very raw prospect, so I'm going to have to give him only a 7. And Mac Jones, I'm actually going to give him a 4. People like this prospect. I did at one point have him as a really big prospect in this draft, but he doesn't impress me the same way these guys do, and I don't think he's going to be anything past a QB2 or a game manager in the NFL. And that's going to wrap it up for us. See ya.